Hey guys, my name is Ty Brown from TysPlanes.com. I make a lot of resin parts, and if you look at my website, I sell a lot of resin stuff. And over the years, is the biggest thing with the resin is when you make resin parts, they're really slick when the plastic that comes out is really slick, and it has a hard time for paints to stick to it. It just won't handle. You can't do a lot of handling of it after it's painted, or you can rub some paint off if if it's just some surfaces are just so slick. Anyway, so I was going to show you a little tip that I found out that I was doing research online, and this guy was painting figures, and it works really well, and I just wanted to pass it along to you. I've got a resin part here. I got a whole bunch of bases for trees that I'm painting for a gentleman. And I've already got them, I've already done to them what I'm getting ready to show you here. What you want to do is you're trying to make the surface readily able to accept a primer. And if you take just a plain part like this or this, and you spray it with a primer, you can take your fingers even after it's set up, and sometimes if you rub it a lot, it will, it'll remove paint in the high area, especially where it's got a corner or something like that. Well, what you do is you take turpentine and any oil-based model paint, and I've got a whole drawer full of these old Model Masters oil-based paints. But you want to just make sure, and you need to think about the colors you're going to end up putting on it. I just make sure that I've got it shaken up really well. Come in here, and I'm going to add a little bit to the bottom of a mixing jar. And then I've taken just the turpentine, and we're going to make, it's more like a wash. I just take a brush and just mix it up really good. And you want it thin. You can see how thin that is. Well, I guess you can, I don't know. But you want it thin. It's more like a wash. And you can see these here. There is, like I said, it's just a wash over. And what does it? This gives a good chemical bond to the resin. So then it will give something that the primers later you'll use will have a bite to. Here's like a resin tank that I've done. It was done yesterday. I mean, it's good surface. You're not going to scratch that off, and it'll accept a primer. But anyway, what we're doing is just going to take this, and we're going to take the part, and any resin part, you need to make sure you wash it first. Any really thin resin, you don't want to use any hot water, just a lukewarm soapy water, and wash those parts to get any mold release that may be on them. But anyway, it's just taking a little bit on our brush, and you can take that little bit and go a long ways. But this gets all into detail. Another thing you want to do is if you're going to paint something a really light color, you may want to use a lighter colored oil-based paint. Generally, I still prime these afterwards, but you can see this is just mainly you can see all the crevices and everything. But what we do is just take that, paint it, and we're going to set this off to the side. And like I said, you can go a little bit thinner than that, but that's pretty good. But you just want to get that in there, and whoops, I hit my thing. You want to get that in there and let that sit. On the bigger parts like this, I usually put a glove on so I can handle it. And it does not matter if you do handle it. Just take my bigger parts like this, and you just want just a really thin brushing. And we're going to pull that little bit all over the whole part. And then we're just going to set that aside to dry. And it usually takes a couple hours for them to get totally dry. But I do, even the darker ones, I do all of them like this now. And that coating is not coming off. And that'll give the primer something to bite to. I did this one last night. This was when I went ahead and primed. All the bases for these trees are a brown color. So I went ahead and primed it in a brown. You can buy primers now that are light. I think you can buy a white primer. So this really helps paints to stick to these items. Just wanted to let y'all know, because people's always asking me, how do you paint these? So once you get this on, you can prime it. And once this is dry, you can prime it and then use whatever colors you want. I use a lot of acrylics painting all my stuff. So you can, that gives you a good way to get a good base for it. So I hope this has helped. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me through tiesplanes.com. And tiesplanes.com, I have a phone number there and my email address. So feel free to contact me at any time. Thanks. Bye.